Hello, I'm Jose, and this is the Cinematic Dogma podcast. I'm joined as every week by my, I don't know, it's not a friend, it's not a buddy, is it a joint, maybe? Blake?
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Jose.
Of course. And what are we going to talk about this week?
I'm very excited to talk about this movie. We are talking about a Spike Lee joint released in 2002, starring Edward Norton, Barry Pepper, and Philip Seymour Hoffman, called The 25th Hour, also starring Rosario Dawson.
I like that. Oh, and Anna Paquin. Oscar winner Anna Paquin.
Oh, what a cast. What
a cast. Yeah. And one thing that you have to tell me, because you always joke about this, but what is the difference between a Spike Lee film and a Spike Lee joint?
So I didn't really know the answer to that question. I knew that some of his projects are joints, some are not, and then you asked me that question last week, and I was like, I should probably be prepared to answer that question. So I did a little bit of research before coming to this recording. He's been a little bit tight-lipped about what it means, so his fans have had to guess. But what it looks like is that a joint is a label he puts on projects that he has either full artistic control or that it really shows his authentic voice. So I think he did kind of a mainstream heist film called Inside Man with like Jodie Foster and Clive Owen, which is a great film, but it's kind of a standard heist film. And so that's not a joint, whereas Do the Right Thing is a Spike Lee joint, right? Because it's something he identifies with more. That's my theory, but again, he hasn't said anything about specifically
and this... Before we started recording, you were telling me that he actually directed the story mode for NBA Live 2K16 or whatever. I wondered if that was a film or a joint.
It was a joint. I read that online just now, right before we started recording.
Well, I mean, I'm happy that they actually give him like full creative control about like the story mode of a sports video game. That's uncanny. Now I'm curious about playing it.
Is that video game on PlayStation? Xbox,
sure
both?
Yeah, probably it's everywhere.
All right, we're going to play it. We're going to play the Spike Lee joint NBA version.
I want to play like a story video game, a sport game that make me reflect about the American reality and how the American dream is perverting me in a video game in a $500 console. My God, is that the layer message here? I don't know. Has to be interesting. But yeah, as this was your pick, I think that we can say that this was your pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Proudly my pick.
Yeah. So I guess that I would need to summarize it somehow. I think that this is very straightforward. This follows like the 24 hours of Edward Norton character before he goes into jails. We see like a bit of a flashback about like how he gets like with a warrant, like the DEA goes to his house, that he lives with Rosario Dawson. I should actually like just check the names of the characters.
Edward Norton is Monty, and his girlfriend Rosario Dawson her name is Naturel.
Naturel. That it sounds like a very fancy water drink. So Monty and Naturel lives together. They have like a DEA search, and they discover like lots of drugs. And because of a state level change on the legal level, it's like he's going to be like hyper penalized for it. Albeit he didn't have like any kind of antecedents. Like he's going to go to prison for many, many years. So we see like through flashbacks a bit the story of how he gets sentenced to 7 years and how he prepares like for it. And then these 24 hours is basically like just saying goodbye to everyone, like to his friends, like coming to terms with going to prison, figuring out who gave him away, as there was like a bit of tension with Naturel, that he thought that Naturel would be like the one that gave the tip to the DEA about him having his drugs in his sofa. And then like how he tries, I don't know if he tries to mend or not, like his relationship with his father, that is Brian Cox.
He's so good. I love Brian
Cox. Yeah, Brian Cox is really good. And he also has like these close two friends that are played by Philip Seymour Hoffman and Barry Pepper.
Jacob and
So
Francis Xavier.
Jacob and Frank respectively. Um, I won't say like what I think yet, but we also see like a controversial relationship of Philip Seymour Hoffman with a student that he is a teacher and he is interested in a student that they cross paths in one of the scenes where they go like to a nightclub and they invite this 17-year-old kid 17-year-old kid
17.
yeah, to sit with them, and he has like a bit of a crush on him. And I don't know if I should say anything else.
I mean, it's 23 years old.
Alright.
But I think
Okay.
that's good enough. You
Hey.
explain what it's about. It's basically 24 hours before meeting the firing squad, right? Like, what do you do in that last 24 hours? How do you say goodbye? How do you...
Yep. And besides that is that there is the how to say the shadow of hey, you're going to go to prison in a communal space, because I think that it's not even like Purcell's or anything, and it's like he's afraid that I'm going to fucking die. I'm not going to survive even a week because I'm too pretty for prison. I love that they repeat that over and over. That is a maybe it's the truth, but it gets to a point that is like,
It's a little...
okay, you're being like, Spike Lee, do you have a crush on Edward Norton? Did you change the script just to emphasize this after you guys landed Edward Norton?
What's it? So I agree with you. And there's a scene towards the end. Let's call this out as a spoiler section, I guess.
Do we want to do like a spoiler for a 25?
No, not for a 23-year-old.
Yeah, I think that is fine. It's like, there's going to be a spoiler. If you're listening so far, just disconnect. Because I want to spoil the crap out of it.
There's a scene at the end where it's like right at the end of the 24 hours where Edward Norton, Monty, asks Francis Xavier to beat the shit out of him so that he goes into prison looking like shit. But the way Edward Norton asks him to do that, he says... I can't remember specifically, but he says, I can't go in there looking like this. And he just points to his face. So, like, I agree with you. First off, I like the film overall. But, like, is he saying that he's going to be too picture perfect that people are going to want to beat the shit out of him? Or that he's going to look too pretty that everyone's going to want to rape him?
Correct. I think so. I think that is
Which
the later.
one? They're going to beat the shit
It's
out
the
of him?
later. I think that the people are going to want to treat him as his little bitch, as a sexual toy, because he's too pretty.
All right. That's what I thought too, but I was like, it's just, they mentioned it like 3 or 4 times very specifically, and I was like, that's enough. That's enough times.
Yeah, we get it. We get it. Honestly, we all have watched The Green Mile and other movies. He said, please, he's like, why are you so in love with you? Because the character, the rest of the character, like personality, is pretty grounded, but it's like that part is like so narcissistic about like, okay, I get it. Is that you are like afraid that you're going to be raped and treated like the little bitch of everyone. But
also,
it's enough.
I love Edward Norton before like the year 2010. Like before 2010, Edward Norton was like my idol. But he's not like that gorgeous. It's not like if I was in prison and I saw him walk across the yard, I'd be like, I'm gonna rape that dude. That's the dude
I think that they were aiming to have Brad Pitt.
See, if Brad Pitt walked across the prison yard, I'd be like, I'll see that dude later in the shower.
That's exactly. Oh, just wait until the soap falls. But no, then the movie ends, as we are like spoiling everything, he ends up like going to prison. His father like volunteers to drive him to prison. And the movie ends with a 10-minute sequence of, hey, just give me the order and I will drive away. And we will actually like, just drop you in the middle of nowhere, America, for giving you a second chance. And we have like a hypothetical of what if he doesn't go to prison. But it ends with like, no, he's going to prison.
So for you, that ending was 100% clear?
Yes.
I've never understood what that final shot when they finally go from the vision that the dad is kind of having us see, and then it goes back into the car. I never could tell if he actually turns to go off to the prison.
He didn't.
He did not?
He didn't. No, because I think that, well, this is the summary. Now we can talk a bit more about the analysis and if we liked it. So I liked it. Those last part is like, I think that I brought you like right away about like, okay, this was a bit heavy-handed, but I understand that he's talking about the United States is the land of opportunity and the land of second chances. You know, is that we see like how the dog that he adopts at the beginning, I don't remember like the name of the dog, Dylan, something
What's
like
that
that.
dog's name? I don't know. I love that dog.
Yeah, the dog. Like it was a pit bull or something. Yeah, I think that it was like a pit bull. But the dog gets a second chance. The Philip Seymour Hoffman gets a second chance after fucking up like royally. Maybe not. Maybe he will have to deal with the consequences of that. But of what he does. But he gets a second chance. Is like what we're saying is that Edward Norton doesn't. He lives under the idea of you may have a second chance. You may have like a way out of this and having a second chance of another living. But it's a dream. Is not really real, and I think that is like more impactful on saying that is that, hey, you could have like all of these, recognize that you screwed up, but just set your life straight. But it's like, no, you're not. You're going to prison, and your life is going to get like completely destroyed tomorrow. You are not going to survive. It's like prison is like presenting you as a bit of a, or at least like the theoretical on the United States of a, hey, you're going to be like correct from your bad ways, and you could be like just free into the world. But the reality is that that's not the case. Is that he knows that he's not going to have like a second chance after stepping into prison.
And you liked that about the film?
Yeah, because I think that is a bit more
contrast.
Commentary. Yeah, it's a bit more like commentary about like, nope, is that the second prisons, the second chances that you're given through the system, they're not real.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's obviously, I agree with you that the theme of second chances is examined a lot, and it's set. Remember that Spike Lee obviously films a ton of his, are all of his films filmed in New York? I don't know. Let's say the vast majority, if not all.
Yeah, Black Klansman was not in New York, that's for sure.
Oh, that's right. So not all of them, but many of them. But this takes place in New York the year after September 11th. So, like, Barry Pepper's characters, his apartment looks over Ground Zero. And so everything is in the context of the fallen towers and how, like, lives have been destroyed and how do you build from the ground up. Sometimes you can't, but, like, you can raise some, like, there's a lot of...
Yeah.
There's a lot of gravitas, let's say, but like you said, it's also very heavy-handed. But I don't know how you like extract heavy-handedness from these themes, especially in the shadow of 9/11. Like, there's no way to not be heavy-handed in the shadow.
No, and I actually forgot to mention that. That is like, that part about like, dude, you guys like got the shooting location, like to be like 100% like exposed to that. About more is that, hey, this is the climate. After what happened is like we even see like that scene with Edward Norton that he's staring at a mirror and he hates everything.
What did you think about that monologue?
I liked it, but I don't know exactly like what to take from it. I think that it was a bit more trying to reflect the climate of hey, it's pretty easy to just fall into the I'm going to fucking hate everything because this is like everyone else's fault. So he was like trying to reflect. I think that Spike Lee, once again, like being a bit heavy-handed of hey, in this point on time, is that this is like the easiest path forward of you hate everything. But then when you see like the last sequence that he's going through the car and you see like the smiley faces of this is not about like hating. It's like this is a bit more about like accepting like what happened, you know?
For me, that monologue, you're going to laugh at me, is among the top 5 best monologues, or favorite of my monologues, maybe second only to, you're going to laugh, Julianne Moore and Magnolia.
Dude, you were going like pretty good. I thought that you were going to say like, hey, any Steve McQueen movie, you know, like for example, like
Nope, it's Julianne Moore telling the pharmacist to suck her dick. Like, that's...
I don't know if you can call that like a monologue when it lasts like, what, 20 seconds?
It's a monologue. Anyway, back to 25th Hour. I really, really, really like it, and I agree with you. Yep. Like, it's it's easy to hate, but if you're really honest with yourself, what you really hate is yourself, because you're the one that
because
really
you're blaming. Yeah, you took like a brown choice, and you stuck to that brown choice. Because we hear like more about like the character that he went like, was it Yale or like a very prestigious university with a scholarship, and then he fucked it up.
It was the preparatory school that Philip Seymour Hoffman now teaches at. So it's like a really, really rich high school for rich kids.
Yeah. And he fucked it up because he started selling drugs to rich kids. And then he got expelled.
Or glass half empty, he had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Well, maybe, but it was not the right one. Let's just say. And then
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't
Now,
hear Sally paying
23
for the
years later,
consequences.
I can have weed delivered on a bicycle in like 30 minutes. So I'm
He
just
was
saying,
not
like,
selling weed.
he was in preparatory school. That's what
Oh
Barry
yeah,
Pepper.
in prep school, yes, yes. But once again, it's like if you try to sell like even weed in California from your garage, is that and without like paying any kind of regulatory taxes and the likes, is that will still be considered a crime, not a felony at that level, but it wouldn't be legal either. So and he's selling heroin.
I was just going to ask you, it must be heroin, but I can never tell the difference between heroin and cocaine when it's in those bricks. I'm like, I don't know.
It's
I've
one
never
of
done
those.
either one.
Exactly. It's one of those, it's like it's the serious ones.
That looks like one of the bad drugs.
It's the bad ones. What do you think of that scene? It's funny because we're seeing Atlanta right now, and we see like that actor only for one scene. Isaiah Whitlock Jr., like the DEA agent, that he was also in The Wire.
My brother-in-law, after this movie came out, we said for like 10 years.
It's funny because every time that I see him in something, it's like, say your piece, say your piece. It's like, I don't know if he was like fine being typecasted too. It's like, okay, I'm going to be a law enforcement agent. He's not in Atlanta. He's only 1 or 2 episodes. But I'm going to be a law enforcement agent and I'm going to require that they make me say shit.
I'm sorry, if you have to have a catchphrase, that's a pretty cool catchphrase. Good for him. I'm down.
Yeah. I like it. I like it more than I expected. It's true that it's super heavy-handed. But I like the message. I like that it's it may be a bit timely for the 9/11 part. It may be a bit, I don't know, narcissistic, the character. I'm too pretty for prison. But the message behind and all of the parallel stories, they're fine. Except one. The Philip Seymour Hoffman one, I didn't like it at all.
With Anna Paquin specifically, or
Anna
just
Paquin.
his entire character?
Just the entire character. I almost feel like the only reason why you are here is for being like the creepy one. And I was watching it with my boyfriend. It's like I had the feeling that you could remove this character almost altogether, but you need some kind of contrast for the other friend. But I didn't like it. It almost felt like, why do you keep playing these creepy little characters like in Happiness?
Yeah, it's almost like the only reason Jacob Elinsky, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character exists is for the exposition that he has with Barry Pepper's character. And there's not that much, but they do have conversation. Oh, we should have been better friends to Monty. Like, I think he existed just for that character because you're right. Otherwise, Philip Seymour Hoffman could have gone away completely. That to be said, it's not like completely distracting, but it is like excess fat that could have been trimmed.
Yeah, and it's true that it's like how long is the runtime of this movie? Oh, 2 hours 15. It's like I honestly don't think that this adds too much. It's like I had the feeling that it's like the tone, for example, of that Barry Pepper like brings to the movie. I think that it's like pretty aligned with the rest of the movie. I think that it's like, it's like a contrast of your childhood friend that he went like through the legal part and he's a stockbroker, but destroying lives in a different way. It's like, yeah, sure.
I mean, it was very obvious, but I appreciated the comparison and the middle finger. Like, he destroyed lives. I was like, are you kidding me, Barry Pepper? And also, this is like the Enron days. He's literally like destroying the American middle class in his day job.
Yep. So I was just feeling that it's like, okay, yeah, there's a good contrast on it, but it's like then when I put like Philip Seymour Hoffman in here, it's like this guy is I don't know how to define it. It's just a creepy little guy that is like, you are a pedophile almost in disguise.
I don't even feel like he was that offensive. Like, imagine if you were teaching 17-year-olds every day, like that's who you spend your time with, and you have 30 kids in and out, in and out, in and out. You should never have a relationship with them. You should never be kissing with them. But like, it's to like have a weird feeling and then take ecstasy and something to happen. I don't feel like he was being incredibly creepy. He should not. He crossed a line, but it's not like he went after her. She
Dude,
followed
no.
him into the club. She sat on his lap.
I sorry, but this is also like something that if you were a teacher, you should be able to set up like strong lines that you are not willing to cross. I never hung
That's
out,
100% true.
yeah, with any of my, you know, how to say, any of my teachers in any concert. You know, is that well, no, actually I saw her like outside, but it's like it was nothing like too close or anything. So in this case, what I feel is like when he's going to the club. And the friend just says, "Oh, why don't you come with us?" He just says, "Like, no, this is a student. It's not okay for a student to also like hang out with me on this environment." But he's
You're
such a
100%
pushover
right.
character that I had the feeling that it's like at the end he inherits the dog as a way of saying, "It's like, no, this is going to be developing your character, and women are going to be approaching age-appropriate women are going to be approaching you." And it's exactly what happens in the last scene that I feel like, oh, okay, this is his second chance.
You're right. He is a creep. I just don't think it's right to describe him as a predator. He's just a creep in that he has no self-control. He's not going out there to hunt. He just has no self-control. So if he has a 17-year-old girl dropped in his lap on ecstasy, who knows what will happen?
I don't know, dude. Let's just say that that's like the problematic part for me of this movie, like this character, and I had the feeling that it doesn't bring too much to the movie. Compared with the rest of the cast, Naturel, for example, I find Naturel more interesting.
I'm very curious what was happening in Anna Paquin's career in 2002 when this... Oh...
X-Men was happening.
It wasn't True Blood?
No, not yet. Because
Okay.
this movie... Not yet, but it was close to get to it.
Because she also seemed just kind of a weird addition to this. I'm curious why Spike Lee was like, yep, we've got to have Anna Paquin. She needs to be 17, and she needs to make out with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, so True Blood started in 2008.
I don't know who wrote Anna Paquin's bio on IMDb, but it starts with Anna Paquin is the first millennial to have received an Academy Award nomination for acting. And I don't think that's okay.
But she is.
But it should not be written.
Shouldn't be saying out loud. But I mean, we have seen like many times that kids that they may be like good actors and then they grow up to just being forgotten completely.
I just don't understand why people are so obsessed with generations. Generations mean almost nothing to me. When people are like, you're different because you were born 5 years later, I just don't. Anyway. Well, Jose, I'm honestly thrilled that you liked this film. I don't know if you loved it, but liked it because for years when I was, let's say, 20, this came out in 23, so I was 19 to say 24. I called this my favorite film. And I was very worried coming back to it thinking, oh, this is going to be total shit. It was not total shit. It's a pretty good film. It's not perfect by any means, but it's really, really enjoyable. And on top of being entertaining, it's a good movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I was not like concerned about it. I always say that I have like a bit of a gap on my appreciation for Spike Lee. It's just because we didn't like cross paths, but the very few stuff that I was by him, the very little stuff that I was by him, I always liked it. You can say that he has a message to say. You know, I appreciate that.
I have a Spike Lee gap too, so maybe we can fill each other's gaps together.
What a way of normalizing it, dude. What a way. But yeah, should we go over the questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Blake, would you watch the 25th hour again?
Yes, I definitely will.
Would you need like to have like enough downtime of not watching it? Is like would you need to wait
Nope.
for several years?
Honestly, if I could convince my husband to watch this today, I'd do it.
Yeah, I mean maybe I wouldn't watch it today again, you know, but definitely I would rewatch it. I think that is like a movie that doesn't overstay its welcome, even if it's more than 2 hours.
Also, I want to call out, the score by Terrence Blanchard, Oscar-nominated Terrence Blanchard, just one of the greatest jazz musicians working today. It's incredible. It's so good that even though I moved to San Francisco 10 years after this film came out. He played in San Francisco twice the year that I came here, and I saw him twice in San Francisco because of this movie. Anyway,
Oh,
continue.
nice. All right, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty cool. Fun fact. Would you recommend the 25th Hour?
Yep. To anyone.
Yeah, yeah. I think that it's a very easy to recommend movie. It's a bit of a drama with a touch of thriller attached to it. And social commentary. So
With some
it
heart.
doesn't have the one.
With some heart. There's like family
Yeah.
relationships and a
Yep,
romantic relationship.
There is no like too much violence. There is no like too much nudity or anything. It's just as you say. It's like there is heart. There is no like abuse of anything. So, would you remember the 25th Hour?
Yes. With the exception of Anna Paquin, I remembered everything about this movie, and I completely forgot she was in it. Completely.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that I will remember like the overall story about like just being like the last 24 hours before this person like gets taken away. I will forget some of the characters. I don't know if I will remember Ryan Cox's character.
Whose?
Brian Cox, like the father, no?
Oh, I really, really like Brian Cox, so I won't forget him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So maybe that part I will forget it until I think it's like, oh yeah, there was like that 10 minutes alternative world like kind of a story. There will be like there can be a happy ending, and it's narrated by him, and I really like that narration. Like that's
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
good.
yeah. If you only tell me repeating like once again like the hypothetical, there is someone that just stabbing him like little by little, like this is what you could have had, but you chose poorly.
And I appreciated the the dream, like the stylized dream sequence. It worked. I thought it was gonna seem
Yeah.
dated, but it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I really like it too. Like with no dialogue except like his narration on top of it is. I felt like it was like super. How you say? Well, actually, like this answer to the question: is there anything artistic about it? I would say yes. For example, like that piece, it felt artistic. And what you say, like the music, also the script. I think that there are a couple of really good monologues. It's like it's actually like a movie built around monologues because like when the friends are talking to each other, there is a lot of hey, let me just tell you how the world works.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that, but it's very dialogue centric. Let's say
Yeah.
it's not that there's not. When I say action, I'm not talking about explosions. There's the plot moves forward, but it's very dialogue centric. Yes.
Yeah, and even when Edward Norton Montes is talking with the mafia, even that scene is like more turning to dialogues more than actually like back and forth.
So for anyone who's currently watching or recently watched The Three Body Problem, the same guy wrote 25th Hour.
Wait, the three body problem that is based in a Chinese book.
Yes, I'm looking. His name is David Benioff. If you pull up his IMDb page, his previous writing credit says his Three Body Problem series created by him, written for the screen by him. And then he also did Gemini Man. Oh, let's not talk about that. Oh,
Yeah, the adaptation.
He created Game of Thrones.
Yeah, yeah.
He wrote for It's Always Sunny, The Kite Runner.
Yeah, he also wrote for Troy. He wrote Troy. Do you remember Troy? The
This is a
masterpiece.
weird body of work. Oh, he wrote
Yeah.
Brothers.
Yep. He's a bit all over the place, to be
Wow.
fair.
Okay, on to the questions.
Yeah, and it's interesting because he wrote the novel and the screenplay. And it's interesting that actually Spike Lee calls this a joint when he didn't write the screenplay.
Yeah, and I didn't remember that. I didn't remember this was a joint, and that's why actually one of the reasons I dove into what is a joint, but he must have felt like he had enough control over the story.
Yeah, no, definitely like the message, like from the other movies that I watched from Spike Lee, is very on brand.
Yeah.
About like I reflect about America as a broken system. So, but let's go back over the questions. Is this a timeless piece?
I'm gonna say yes. Obviously, like it's deeply rooted in a post 9/11 world, but the themes overall are timeless. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I was a bit torn because they emphasize so much the period of time that they're in. But I think that you could be making this movie nowadays,
Yep.
and it would be the same movie. So, I mean, they wouldn't be looking at the, like gap in the middle of Manhattan where the Twin Towers were. But I don't think that that would change so much because part of the dialogue that you really like is about like, hey, how are you going to be like blaming the rest of the world about stuff that is actually inside you? As the we're seeing that more and more with the regime that we have in this country right now.
Let's not make art too real, please.
Okay, sorry. But yeah, it's a timeless piece. Would you turn this into a TV show? Like a limited series, 6 episodes?
Uh, it could, yes, easily lend itself to a series. I would prefer it not be, but yes, it could.
Uh, so you wouldn't turn it. It
I
couldn't
don't
turn.
want it to, but it would easily
that's
turn
fine.
into a TV. I think it's a great movie. I wouldn't want to change
Yeah,
it.
I wouldn't turn it. I see that they could do it, but I think that the impact of just sitting from the beginning to the end of the trip in a single like period of time, like personal time, I think that it works better than just like diluting it over that. It could be like a limited show that lasts 24 hours, similar to the In Treatment and the likes. Of the format of this is like it's 24 episodes, 1 hour, and we're going to be like playing them back to back without commercial breaks. Deal with it.
I'd watch that.
I think that would be interesting. It would be like a Richard Linklater is called,
What is
like
it?
the guy Linklater, like the guy that did like Before Sunset, Before Sunrise,
Oh,
Boyhood. Richard Linklater.
Linklater. Yeah. Oh,
Linklater. Sorry.
that was weird.
Yeah. I think that maybe he could pull it out, like something like that, because he
But it
likes
would
to
be so
play with
different,
time.
and it would just lose the specialness that I like. But it could be done.
Yeah. Or, just look at 24. Wiki for Sutherland.
You could stretch this out for like 6, 7 seasons.
This is the closest that we have been to this concept. Like Kiefer Sutherland saving United States himself. Could the 25th hour being a short?
I don't think so. No.
No. I agree. I don't think that you could have like the same emotional impact or even like the same elements to the story with less than an hour.
Agreed.
So, now, do you think that this movie could have been better?
I'm gonna say yes, just because we called out pretty clearly there is some fat that could have been trimmed, named Anna Paquin,
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
or Philip Seymour Hoffman. But even without Anna Paquin, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character would have made a little more sense if he was just the childhood friend that came along for this night. Giving him an entire purpose outside of this friend group, I felt was weird. Anyway, yes, they could have gotten rid of Anna Paquin and or Philip Seymour Hoffman. So yes, this movie could have been better. With some
Yeah,
edit.
I agree. For me, that's like the worst part on this script. Is like I struggle a lot with this character. I understand that it's like giving the contrast between like the three of them, but I feel like the development that we are giving and Anna Paquin's character, these Lolita on drugs, I don't like it at all. It makes me feel like a bit of a. If this movie were remade right now, this character would be rewritten or maybe written off altogether.
Yep.
And maybe it could be more about like, hey, is Frank approaching Naturel maybe a tiny too much? And there could be like the one dialoguing like back and forth instead of with Seymour Hoffman, instead of with Philip Seymour Hoffman's character.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Okay, I think that these were all of the questions. So should we score it?
Yes, and this was my pick, so you have to score
Jeez.
first.
Okay, my pick is going to be a 7.5.
Yeah, all right. That makes me happy. Mine is an 8.5. It gets a little bump from being a favorite from my childhood.
I think that if the part of Philip Seymour Hoffman was better done, I could see this being an 8 or 8.5 for me. It's just that it rubs me, like seeing it in 2025, it rubs me the wrong way.
And I get that, and I don't begrudge you that. I'm just happy it's not like a 4. Or what did what did I get Brazil?
Too low. You give it too little. But no, I like that it has a message that it has aged well, for better or worse, you know. But I think that given that we have seen Philip Seymour Hoffman playing similar characters and that it doesn't add anything to the story, I don't know. It's like a sore point in the middle that is like, dude, I wish that I could see like a director said it, even like with AI, that it removes Philip Seymour Hoffman, that it replaces it, I don't know, with a coffee maker.
So I'm a little protective of this film just because I like it so much. My husband did not watch it with me, but he happened to walk in the room during a particularly pathetic Philip Seymour Hoffman scene. And my husband watched 2 seconds of the film, looked at me, and was like, why did he always play these pathetic characters? And walked out, and I was like, this film is not that basic.
No, it's not. It's not that basic, but his character is. That's the problem that I see here. That is like, then you go to happiness and you do the same. Is that you go to doubt. I think that character is like way more interesting and he plays it like way better than this. But this is just pathetic 101.
Yep. Agreed.
So, I mean, it's still safe, like, from everything else. It's still pretty weird, like, seeing Edward Norton repeating over and over, I'm so pretty, I'm too pretty for prison.
The next time we go to a gay bar in Chicago, I'm going to pull you aside out front and be like, Jose,
I can't go in there looking like this. I can't want to rape me. Yeah, a bit bizarre. Anyway, anything else to say about 25th Hour?
Everyone should go watch it.
So we'll watch it to the living room.
Yep, the end. Period.
Okay. And to everyone out there, thank you so much for putting up with us. Remember, subscribe, like, all of that. Leave only 5-star reviews. Anything else?
And until next week.
Okay, bye.